back. I'll be okay. Oh, Lamar, do you mind if we start checking without you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you turn this? All right, do you want to start down here then for check-in? Rob?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Little quaint setting here tonight. I am Robert Zodig. I am well.
I pushed it.
I have no time constraint, 7 p.m. Will, of course. I have no elephants, and expectation is to come to an agreement.
We don't have sound.
Not a global agreement. Come to an agreement on the issue that's on the agenda.
Okay.
It was funny, it sounded good.
Yeah, get in for the down.
I'm Elizabeth Brinkley. I'm good, no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, expectation. Let's get an agreement.
Good evening, I'm Heather Leonard. I don't have any time constraints. I'm doing well this evening. I believe Dr. Cole is also missing. No elephants and expectations. Reach an agreement on the issue this evening.
Hi, my name is Kelly Letcher. I'm fine. I have no time constraints. Missings noted, no elephants, and expectations is to come to an agreement.
My name is Kevin Kelfie. I am doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and expectations are come to an agreement.
I'm Carl Burnside. I'm doing fine. No time constraints. I think missing has been noted. No elephants. Expectations come to an agreement on an issue agenda.
Good afternoon, I'm Ben. I'm great. I have no time constraints. Missing's been noted. I don't have any elephants, and expectations come to an agreement on the issue on the agenda. It's not you.
Hi, I'm Mike Gatewood. I'm doing great. I have no time constraints. Missing is noted. No elephants. Expectation, come to an agreement on issue/agenda.
Good evening, I am Helen Martin. I am doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and expectations come to an agreement on the agenda.
Hi, I'm Suzette Rivera. I'm doing well. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and my expectations are to come to an agreement on the issue on the agenda.
I'm Shannon Johnston. I'm doing great. I do have a time constraint at 5 o'clock. Missing's been noted, no elephants, and same expectation.
Jessica Duncan, I'm doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing is noted, no elephant, and my expectation is to come to an agreement on the issue on the agenda. So done today without saying something. Good job.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Pizzone. I'm fine. No time constraints. Missing, I believe we have Mario missing. And Tara. I have no elephants. Expectations. Have a robust discussion on TISA funds.
My name is Kevin Bailey. I'm fine. No time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and I'll go with Terry's expectations. A robust discussion of these.
It's on.
Hi, I'm Jill. I'm doing quite well. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and I have the same expectations as her. Robust discussion on each.
Hello, I'm Anna Witten. I am doing fine. I have no time constraints. Missing noted, no elephants, and I will go with robust discussion.
Good evening, my name is Samantha Howard. I'm a peer collaborative teacher at Northwestern School. school, I am fine. We have no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and I would also like a robust discussion.
Good afternoon, my name is Jay Kristen. I'm just joining us from the high school. I am doing well. No time constraints, this has been noted. No elephants, and my expectation is to have a clear understanding of what we have on the table.
Good evening, my name is Aya Technology. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints, no elephants, message has been noted, and I will also go with the clear understanding.
Hello, my name is Kimmy Johnson. I am a teacher at Barrier Middle School. I teach 6th grade ELA. I am well. I have no time constraints, missing noted, no elements, and I'll go with a robust discussion.
Good afternoon. My name is Lashana Hudson. I'm nursing. I'm the grade 3-5 national justice in elementary. No time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and my expectation is to have a robust discussion on things.
Good afternoon, my name is Louis Fisher. I'm director of instrumental music at Greenwood High School. I'm doing fine. I have some sleep. I have no time constraints. This has been noted. No elephants, and would like to get a clear understanding of what we have on the table.
Good evening, I'm Christina Sterrett, and I'm the kindergarten grade 1 teacher in Tortuga. I'm doing pretty well tonight. No time constraints, missings noted, no elephants, expectations with clear understanding.
Good evening, my name is Bob Scapitulo. I teach math at 3 Oaks Middle School. I'm doing fine. No time constraints, missing noted, no elephants. The expectation is to have a robust discussion and for everyone to enjoy their holidays.
Hi, I'm Roseanne Perez. I am doing well. I have a 6 o'clock time constraint. Missing has been noted, no elephants and expectations. The third one, clear understanding of what we have on the table.
My name is Amy French. I'm doing well. I do not have any time constraints. The missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectations are to help you achieve all of these things. So, and Bob's too have been noted. So, we're glad you're all here. We do have a short agenda. I'm going to turn this on here. We do have to approve the minutes, so first from last time I believe Teresa sent those out. So we'll get a chance to take a look at those. Do we have any changes that need to be made?
Under the second caucus, it's not a big deal. It will add the language 8,04 to be at 8.04.
Okay, so under the second caucus, rather than 8,04, it should say 8.04. Thank you. Anything else for the minutes? Any on the minutes? No? Okay. So, do we want to approve the minutes at this point? Sure. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you approve these minutes. So So, it's approved, excellent. Circle in orange, I would not see the orange circle. All right, so, on our agenda, we have TISA. Robbie, you want to start us off with this story?
Actually, no, this is before we go there.
Okay.
So, when we ended last session, I asked if we could add an additional bargaining date. And I contacted the leadership of TALC, and we didn't come up with another date. Today is the 12th. Teachers were up to the 21st, so I'm still asking if we could get another date.
Okay. TALC, is there another date that we have before the 21st, you're saying, Rob?
Right.
Before the 21st?
I'm out the 16th and the 19th. I take those 2 dates right off. I think the last day before winter break is probably not gonna win the day here. So we have a rep meeting on Wednesday. Teacher evaluation on tomorrow. Then there was another one. Yeah. So the dates are pretty slim, to be honest with you. It looks like this Thursday, right? This Thursday or Tuesday, or next Tuesday. And I think Kurt holds the team, and he can report on that.
I pulled the team about dates next week, and there was not one single date next week that we had even half of the team that's available. So I think we need to look at coming back January and starting fresh.
What's wrong with Thursday?
I'm out of town.
Okay.
Thursday,
Oh, yeah, he's at Camp Week. That's what it's called.
I mean, the sooner we get a resolution to this contract, the sooner people get, more than likely paid, so I'm just trying to move us along.
The sooner you let us know the total money available to negotiate with, the sooner we'll get a deal on this contract.
So is that why you're not providing another date?
No, that's not why we're not providing another date, but it certainly hiccups the ability when there's $31 million available for everybody, and you only want to talk about 7. In order to frame a deal that's legally compliant and in the best interest of all of our members, we need to know what part of that money, the $31 million, is TALC. We need to know what part of that $31 million is ESSER, because some of it's going to be ESSER, and that changes when we negotiate, because we can't do an ongoing commitment with ESSER money. And then we need to figure out how much of that money is non-ESSER money, so we can figure out what deal we can negotiate based on the new rules that weren't in place last year, where, the biggest deal to the grandfathered schedule is 75%, or is the base salary has to go up by 75% of that. So we need the whole number to negotiate a whole deal.
So we just got way ahead of trying to get another date.
Right.
Which would be part of the conversation. So I'm just trying to move us along. I mean, obviously, we lost a lot of time with the hurricane, so.
We could start back up again January 9th and do the every other Monday starting then. Again, we have compensation in Article 12 left, so there's not that much left.
So we didn't intend to start them? I thought we did, didn't we?
No, it was a duty day.
Oh, that's right, it was a duty day.
We got into the everybody take out their calendar mode, which never works out.
Right.
Well, I would certainly have an interest in starting on the 9th. I mean, that's fine, yeah.
So the 9th will be the next date for TALC?
And we can do it during the day, because it's duty day for people. That's okay.
Would there be interest for that?
I'm looking at our team, Ben.
Yeah, one or two, yeah, not like 8 o'clock in the morning.
On the 9th, double check.
I think you're right.
Yes, there is a principal meeting that day, yeah. But it's done by noon, is that accurate? Sure.
Is that a Monday?
Yeah.
So we're still discussing that.
Okay.
So, and, yeah.
I mean, maybe we could do it like 3-ish, 2-ish, 2:30-ish, depending on, okay.
So if we did say 3-ish, would we go till 7, or would we go to a different time, or we would play that by ear?
I mean, I think the amount of time is directly related to the fruitfulness of the meeting. If we're able to have the commitment about what all the numbers are, prior to us going away on winter break, some of us, actually all of us, if we have that commitment prior to, we can play, fiddle with the numbers on our side, and the meeting on the 9th will be much more productive than it would if not, so.
So can we go make an agreement saying we would schedule from, if we say 3 o'clock, so whenever, or are you guys going to discuss that in labor management beforehand?
Sure.
So the times, we're going to settle on the 9th, but the times will be discussed in labor management. Okay, we're good with that?
Yeah. And then we'll go every other Monday as the calendar allows from there.
And I apologize for sidetracking, that wasn't on the agenda, so thank you for indulging me.
Okay, are we ready to address the agenda then? Are you guys ready to address the agenda then? So on the agenda, we have, I guess, Article 10.
Yes.
The funds?
Well, it's compensation.
Compensation, right. So, does anybody want to start? I don't even know if we have a story for that one.
No.
We don't. Okay.
So as part of Story, the district, what is this, the third year? Yeah, third year of the legislation called the teacher salary increase allocation that is provided by the state for essentially classroom teachers as defined under Florida statutes. This year, that allocation, which must be paid retroactive to July 1st, is $7.5 million for Lee County. So that is the initial story. We would like to discuss a plan for those funds. Without getting into any options, but we would like to discuss a plan and hear from TALC as to the way they feel that money should be allocated and provided to their staff. I mentioned that being paid during the calendar conversation because this money has to be paid retroactive to July 1st. So that was the genesis of that comment from me.
We put the retro to July 1st. So we have the money is funded for pizza.
As part of our historical expectation outside of pizza, it's that the increases in regular salary be retroactive to July 1st as well.
Okay. I think right now we're talking about TISA. Do you want to stick to that, or?
I mean, I think that's worthwhile information. I don't have a problem with that. I think part of this story is that, and I think TALC would agree, that there are significant strings attached, so to speak, or the way we have to spend the money is fairly restrictive. So that makes it difficult for those folks that are not, quote, classroom teachers as part of their bargaining unit and how we deal with them. But we do think, and part of this story is, because we got the starting salary to $47,500, I think that frees up the ability to spend that money in some different ways.
Okay, go ahead, Kirk.
So yeah, maybe we can discuss some of the strings. So Rob is correct. Since we reached 47.5 last year, the 50-50 split is off. thankfully. But there's still some others that are of very important consequence. The base salary has to increase by 75% of the largest adjustment negotiated for any teacher above the base. So for every dollar that we give to someone, say on the grandfathered schedule, we have to put 75 cents at the base. And this was a year that we really wanted to address compression. This in and of itself is mandated by TALC or by law. This will make it virtually impossible to address this. I have just one more thing I want to mind. There's also there's been some legislation around longevity, which we'll talk about. But the legislators have moved the longevity supplement and mandated that it also has to follow that 75 split. So for example, if someone gets a raise of 1,000 and a supplement of 1,000 for longevity, the base has to go up by 1,750. That's 75% of 2,000. So longevity supplements have to have that 75% thing on it as well. Yes, I'm just going to echo one of my team members. This is quite ridiculous, but we're just getting started.
Well, I think it's important for Story to indicate that this has significantly enhanced compression, not helped it. So we're fighting that, and the union knows that. I mean, it has raised the base and the bottom of the salary schedule to 47.5, but it hasn't followed through with those in the middle and at the top, and we recognize that.
Can I just go clarify, the 75% applies only to annual contracts, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Only to folks who are receiving it. No, that's different law. So that's, the base has to go up by 75% of the largest increase, to anyone on that salary schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand now. Okay. Okay.
Amy, if
And that's
no,
the
Chris,
base salary.
just a caveat here. So this has been the largest influx of cash into teacher salaries, and I say teacher because, as Rob said, it's narrowly defined. I believe they lumped in pre-K ESE teachers this year.
They did.
But as of last year, pre-K ESE teachers were not even defined as a teacher based on statute, which is asinine for a whole host of reasons. So last year, in year 2 of the program, the legislature added $550 million into salary increases. And after all of that, the average salary for teachers in Florida actually fell. It fell, we're 48th in the nation, and we've had the largest influx of cash. So this year, the legislature put in $800 million because the 550 worked. So the 800 is going to work. And so this is it. And this is the largest influx of cash. So there's one more kind of string we have to look at. Outside of TISA, the performance pay rules have also become more restrictive. So anyone that's on the annual contract side who gets a highly effective has to make 125% of any adjustment negotiated for a continuing contract person, somebody on the PSC scale.
So can
Highly effective annual contract has to receive an increase of 125% of any adjustment negotiated for someone with a professional services contract.
isn't that similar to what we had with the what was below the 75%? So this is just
Effective is now 50 to 75%. Yeah, I think so.
So it's just presented differently. They're flipping the numbers.
Right.
Yeah. 125% of as opposed to 75%.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes, I think, a lot of us on our side hesitant to jump into this conversation without talking about everybody else. Because every single move we make has the potential of messing with the base. So for example, I think a $500 increase to the base was floated. Well, that means if we increase the base by $500, backing into the math, the highest increase for somebody on the grandfather schedule is in $666. So we're capping what that increase is just by, by even talking about increasing the base. So I'm not sure that we can piecemeal that, but that's just where I am right now.
Yeah, some data. There are 1,508 teachers on the grandfathered salary schedule. The rest are on performance-based.
How many brought you?
1,508. What's that? Essentially PSC, yes. Yeah.
Continuing contracts, yeah, all of those.
Or C, oh, restaurant, I'm sorry, restaurant.
Yeah, well, 4,000.
Do you know the number of the restaurant? I don't know. If not,
There's 5,900 teachers.
okay. Thank you.
Next up. And we also have to consider some new supplements that are now required by law. There's the D&F school supplement.
I'm sorry, the ES?
D&F, letter grade D, letter grade F school
Oh,
supplement.
DF.
There are the Title I school supplements, and there are the hard to critical shortage area supplements that I don't believe came with money from the state, so they will also have to be taken out of the board contribution for raises. So I believe Kurt asked for the data on how many people that would affect. So again, piecemeal is becoming more and more difficult.
Title I critical shortage, what's the first one?
Turnaround, critical shortage, D&F school supplement.
Thank you.
Iris, can I know the amount of, non-classroom teachers?
Non-classroom instructional?
Yes.
It's 400 and something.
400 and something.
That are on the grandfather?
Oh, ask your question all at once, Ira.
Do we know how many non-classroom teachers, instructional staff are on the, grandfather?
They should just specifically ask about instructional or all the others that are not included. Non-instructional.
So, are you asking for all those that are included as as classroom instructors? Okay.
Non-classroom instruction.
Yeah, so it's somebody 400 something,
Those that are
those
not
all in that
eligible
400
for
something that are grandfathered, I think is what she's asking.
Rob, she's asking for those that are not defined as a classroom teacher by statute.
Right. But also,
She said the
what salary schedules are up?
grandfather.
I guess broken down by salary schedule?
Yes.
Is that something that you need time to get back to her on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was next week, but.
Thanks, yeah.
So you do the data because down there, number of.
In the past, evidently, that was going to maybe place an ad. I don't think it was a bargain. Kirk?
Yes.
Kevin referred to a data request for DNF Title I critical shortage. What, did you make that at bargaining or in labor management? Okay. Or just to Will?
That may have been pre-maternity leave.
Okay, all right. All right, so you're looking for the people that would implicate? Okay.
Okay, so we have that data request. Thank you for your patience on that. Any more story on this one? Anything else we need to know about the TISA funds? We have the strings that are attached. We have what it is, 7.5 million. It's going to be paid retro to July 1st to all classroom teachers as defined by the state. or to tell us it was, now it does include pre-K and ESE, or pre-K?
Pre-K, yes.
Thank you.
Not pre-K, no.
Okay. Rob?
Yeah, well, on that point, I think we have some more flexibility now, though, because we have our starting salary at 47.5. So we can use, the way I read the FAQs, and I know we can go around all day, but we can use the second 50%, and maybe all of it, and include non-classroom instructional folks, because we reached 47.5. So that was tying our hands before we got there last year. That's why it was important to get to that figure.
We may be able to include 47.5, or was it 47.3?
47.5.
47.5. Maybe that we may be able to include the other 50% for those not included in the classroom.
Oh, that's the one you want.
So we just add a little bit more to that story. Any comments or anything on that, or information? Do you have any?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they want to, we have some options theoretically, or at least a possibility of how we might go about allocating some of these funds. So
Do you want to present some options?
I can put something up on the screen if it might be helpful. It's not a lot, but it's at least a starting point potentially. So, as those that are veterans of bargaining know, there's always an implication of the way you order operations when it comes to providing salary increases and with payroll. So, we envision, and there's no numbers up here yet, but we would envision the order of operations being relative to our interests, which are interests up here somewhere?
Interest? Yes, they are
Okay.
here.
All right.
Interests are retention and recruitment, morale, address the compression. Student achievement, fairness, livable wage, professional wage, equity, clarity, compliance, alignment with current duties and responsibilities.
So we envision those interests being met best relative to the TISA funding by the order of operations being addressing career ladder, effective, highly effective, and then truing folks up to 48,000 because that would be our new starting salary. Now I say that because there's an important point. Collier County is starting at 50,000 and Charlotte County is starting at 48.5. So this won't even bring us up to where they're at starting salary, but we're cognizant of the fact that when we went to 47.5, that brought us a long way at that time, or 47.3 and then 47.5. And people at the middle and the higher areas of the salaries, I shouldn't use those words, but of the salary plan did not get as much percentage-wise as those at the bottom because we had to get there with the TISA funds. So that's why I would love, for the purposes of recruiting and retention, but certainly recruiting, to raise that salary, starting salary higher. But we also don't want to leave those that have been left behind again. So that's kind of where this order of operations comes in.
Okay. Julie, your hand up.
So So in this process, if we want to raise minimum salary to 4,800, the first thing we would do for a person who's not making 4,800 is give them their career ladder boost first, right? 48,000, I'm sorry, 48,000. I don't know. So the first thing we would do is add that career ladder amount. Traditionally, it's been 1,000, so let's just work with 1,000 because that's the traditional amount. So if they were making less than 48,000, the first thing we would give them is their career ladder increase. And if that took them past 48,000, then they would just be fine. That's what I'm understanding.
Say that again, I'm sorry, I'm hearing.
So, okay, if a person is not making 48,000, which would be the, if we're gonna raise the minimum base, right?
And the career ladder took the past.
Right, so then, if we raise minimum base, that means that that's the lowest amount any employee makes, okay? So, if we use career ladder first, and we do the traditional amount of 1,000, that amount would then take them past 4,800, and they would be set, right? 48,000.
No, they wouldn't stay there, they would also get the effective and highly effective. You follow me?
I do.
Okay.
So, here's what I'd like to say, and I will just say this as someone on the grandfather salary schedule. When we created the career ladder, I feel like this is going back to like 2012. Like Dr. Atkins and the TALC kids, and some of us were there, and we started making all of these things. Our goal was to create something so that as teachers moved up and as they started to truly master their craft as a teacher, there would be a salary increase associated with that. And I feel like when we create an order of operations that puts career ladder first, we de-incentivize the career ladder. We're saying, hey, do this PD, get that master's degree, master your craft, be the best teacher and keep going, but now we're going to use this to level you up. I have mixed feelings about that because I feel like the people on that career ladder are working really hard with their professional development, education, coaching, and when we take that amount and we use it to increase their salary, and then just say, well, this is the rest of what you get, it waters down the value of that career ladder movement.
Thank you, Jill. Comments on that? Or new comments? Tina?
I'm just going to reiterate or piggyback to that because some of my members at school had gotten an increase prior to this. They only were moved up to the minimum, and then they were told, well, your career ladder was already included in that. So they didn't really see that actual $1,000 bump to their base. And they got really upset about that type of thing. It needed to show separately, not be included in their new base salary.
Okay.
Yes, so the true up to 48,000 is a $500 increase to the base pay, correct?
Yes.
So now we go to the second law, which says the maximum a raise another person can get is $600 and something. Right? Because that's a law that says for every dollar you increase this one's got to go up by 75%. So, I mean, is this order of operations only for TISA money, or is this order of operations for all the money, or?
Yeah, I think we need to distinguish that. The career ladder is not technically part of the TISA one.
Right.
So I'm sorry, and I can see how. So the answer is yes and no, right? I mean, it's not part, but the effective, highly effective, and the true up would be.
So in this scenario, $500 in the base, the other law kicks in, and the biggest raise somebody on the grandfathered salary schedule could get would be $600. And that would be for effective, and then the biggest highly effective raise would have to be 125% of the $600. So that's not a lot of money, right?
Well, it depends how you split up that money. effective and highly effective.
The other, now again, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. The other law clearly states, for every dollar you move the base up, it limits to 75%. Oh no, for every dollar you give the biggest grandfather increase. So if we give grandfathered people $1,000, which is the maximum they can get for being highly effective or effective, that means the base has to go up $750. And then that means the highly effective performance person goes up another 25% from 1,000 to be $1,250. So at some point, the laws overlap and restrict what you can do other places because of how they're written. And I would like to remark on the districts around us moving to 50. It might be because they have an additional revenue source that is not coming from the base student allotment that we don't have.
And no disagreement here. I mean, they have millage, so. So just sort of as an aside, a number of employees that would be affected Title I, getting back to these data requests, 2,842. Critical shortage, approximately 1,679. And then what we would, okay. The two new schools that would be DF, which are Manatee and G. Weaver. There's 54 folks at Manatee and 57 at G. Weaver.
So 100.
Yeah, a little more than 100, 111.
What was the time?
And that doesn't include Fort Myers Middle because they're already getting a supplementary term.
Correct. 2842 for Title I.
Okay. Any comments on that information this year? Okay. So we still have this order of operations in our agenda on this TSA. So would we just be talking about these bottom two with it?
Essentially, yes. I mean, we're interested in figuring out highly effective and effective and $7.5 million and how we could potentially allocate those funds.
Kevin?
But there's more than that.
Okay.
So there's more than $7.1 million total available. I mean, I think for me, the most logical way for me to handle it is to back into it, is you're right, to decide what effective and highly effective is. And then from there, the laws take care of whatever the base salary needs to increase to. I mean, again, we have to determine what we want to determine. And if we're only going to spend 7 point something on the effective and highly effective tonight, when we come back in 2 weeks and more contribution is there, where and how does that get spent? Are we then going to change the effective and highly effective number because that money has now been shared? Or is it the idea to share all the money, figure out how much we want for each supplement, carve that out, then, figure out how much money is left over, how much of that is ESSER, that's got to be dealt with a certain way, and then take the 7 point something and pile it with whatever's left over from the carve-outs, and figure out the effective and highly effective we want, and then let the laws figure out what's happening with that.
Okay, any comment on that?
I don't disagree with Kevin. I think that is a possible way of doing business. I am curious about, and this isn't the type of bargaining we do, so I don't want to put them on the spot, but what is the thought regarding 48,000?
48,000 restricts our ability to give raises to other people because the law kicks in, and if you move it up 5, the other people can only get $650. So if we say we're going to give every effective person $2,000, then we work backwards, and the base goes up more than 48,000. But if we say the base is moved up to 48,000, then by statute, the maximum amount we can give somebody is that 600 and some dollars.
You see, I'm not sure we necessarily see eye to eye on that interpretation of the law, so go ahead.
This is 10/12/22.
The date, 5/12.
No, that's the statute. Sorry, it's really long.
Five, Roman numeral 2.
And so it says, beginning July 1st, 2021, blah, 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 thereafter, the annual increase of the minimum base shall not be less than 75% of the largest adjustment for an employee on the grandfathered salary schedule. So whatever you adjust the grandfathered salary schedule, you have to increase the base by 75% of that. I just realized I said all of that and my mic wasn't on.
No, we heard you. I think we heard you. We'll close it off tonight. I'm not sure that includes the starting salary.
Now we're having a whole conversation of whether the starting salary is marketable or. No, I believe it does. In all of the other settlements that my colleagues across the state have done, it was. I'll give you an example. Glades County went to 50,000. That was a $1,750 increase. And so, the grandfathered folks got 23, 33, 33. And that's just TISA. Then you have to talk about performance pay and effective, highly effective, grandfathered on top of all of that. I think if we're going to talk about moving the base, it should be well beyond 48. I think we need to be eyeing the $50,000 mark. That would really free up. I'm saying this is Kerr talking. This is not, TALC's official position. I mean, we haven't really discussed this, but this is the line that I think hamstrings us the most because, as you said, Rob, we do want to spread it out to the folks that didn't get an increase in years past. But this makes it somewhat impossible to do so. And I have a couple of requests to talk. I think Bob has a question.
We're just going to make a comment.
Bob, you say a comment?
You should keep your voice.
Yeah, there's I don't know how, to be honest with you, we could talk about the TISA fund without knowing what the board contribution amount is, and I think that's what we're getting to. And I think we're in agreement with that. You can't discuss one without the other. And we can discuss the TISA fund, but like Kerr was just saying, what happens if we get X amount of dollars and we can actually go above the 48?
Okay, on the agenda, I don't know when the agenda, who writes it, if it's agreed upon their management, but let's just, we talk about it.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's okay, I know what Bob's talking about.
Yeah. And I think we'd like to caucus for 15.
Okay.
We need to.
You guys need a caucus as well? Okay. Who has You have it, okay, there's just wait a second.
I thought it's correct.
Yep, okay. So we'll start with the TALC caucus,
Yeah,
the district caucus, and then the executive caucus?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
So, I mean, we had a lot of discussion around TISA, answered a lot of questions related to the 50-50 split, and whether or not those strings are off. And had, I guess, a philosophical discussions, for lack of a better word, about how to move forward.
Our caucus was actually very similar. We talked about the statute and read some of the language and actually came up with an option that hopefully we'll be able to put up there tonight.
Okay. And then the executive caucus.
Did we do that?
Go ahead.
More of the same, Amy. I mean, we basically, I think we're trying to get on the same page about how to move forward. A lot of the conversation we've had about whether to bifurcate or not, I mean, we had here, and we had for that conversation in the executive caucus.
So do we want to go ahead with the option?
Sure.
Okay.
Before we put the option up though, I'd like to have some conversation and I would ask Kelly to join in because we understand that there's a strong desire to know about how much other money is available in addition to the TISA funding. We recognize that, we know that. We know we had $38.4 million. However, we also know there was a hurricane on September 28th. I know I said the same thing to you all in the insurance meetings we had, or when the topic was insurance. So we understand that, but what we know right now is we have $7.5 million that we want to spread to teachers in some way to get money in their pockets. Regardless, no matter how much we have in addition to that, and we're actually not certain of that, we still have to deal with these statutes that have put significant limits on how we can spend money or pay teachers. So we still have to do that. Now, I'll just give you an anecdote, and Kelly was going to reiterate this. But on November 30th, when we received the tax receipts for the 2022 year, we typically receive about $135 million. We received 19 million.
You typically receive how much?
About 135 million. We received 19 million. So, and from what we gather in our executive caucus, there's some misunderstanding as to how the tax money is received by the district, and it's essentially in real time. Like, we receive the money, and then we spend the money. I mean, that's essentially how things work. But I just wanted to preface, before we put our option up there, with that, and then I'm gonna let Kelly have some words.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with how we receive our funding and how it works. So the state puts out the Florida Education Finance Program, that's the FFP calculation, and they tell you that, based on the state allocation, this is how much you get. A portion of that is from local dollars for everyone, and a portion is from state. The higher your tax base, the higher is your local. Lee County's tax base is where we get 61% of our funding from our local tax base. The rest comes from the state. When they give you the budget, none of the money is sent to you right away. Even the money from the state, it's sent to you on a monthly basis from the state. Locally, when the money we collect locally, when your tax bills go out in late October, early November, we start seeing a large sum of money at the end of November. We see a large sum of money in December, and then it starts going back down from there. Usually, those are the largest 2 months that we get it. We expected to see $135 million for the month of November, sorry. We saw 19 million. That's what actually came into us. So as you can imagine, that creates a cash issue when you're expecting 135 million and you only get 19. You still have payroll to meet, you still have all of those things to go on. All of those things, they have an effect on us. When you look at the tax base of Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel, they generate about $45 million for us. As it stands right now, they're talking about doing an abatement of taxes for people whose houses are not livable. If you can't live in your house, you're going to have an option to abate the tax for this year, which means we'll see no tax money for those homes for this year. We're still trying to figure out how much that is. I've been talking to the county every week, trying to find out from them when they'll have a number so I can kind of figure out what we're doing. We're working with the Department of Education. We've met with the legislators trying to figure out how we can fill that gap. It isn't that we're trying to hide things or things. We just want to make sure that when we put a number out and we bargain with that number, that you can trust that number and we can make that number happen for you. That's why we're not putting it all out there, telling you all the pieces. It's not that we're trying to be not upfront, and I want to be transparent, but I want to be completely transparent. I don't know right now. I need to see how my taxes come in December. Am I going to see that large number come in December that I was expecting as well? That will help us to make a decision on where we're going to be moving forward. And hopefully by then they'll have a better idea of how much is going to be abated. We still want to put the same amount in that we can, but I need to make sure that it's there. I want to bargain in good faith. I don't want to put a number out and then not be able to do it for you.
Any comments on that? Shay has a question? Oh, okay. Oh, you want to do that first?
No, go ahead, Shay.
When did the board actually set $5 for the Port Authority? Was it prior to the hurricane?
Oh, yeah, it was either late August, I think it was late August, yes.
Okay, so if we had it taken so long earlier in the bargaining session, we would have gone ahead and talked about compensation and had agreed upon it, would that have meant that when the hurricane happened, that we would have had to rethink that?
She would have, she said, would we have to go back on the contract if we did
That's why Kelly.
ratify it? Okay.
So I don't know.
It's not on.
We would definitely have had to take a look at what we thought, was happening and moving forward, and make adjustments. And that's why I don't want to do it now, because I don't know, if everything came through the way it was supposed to, we would be in good condition, we would do it, but we don't know. So I can't say, what I would say is we would do our best to honor what agreement we would have made. And we would have tried to see what we could cut in the process.
So when the board sets aside an amount of money, they're setting aside projected money, not money that we have.
Correct.
So we bargain on projected money.
That is correct. It's the way that we get our funding, so it's the only way we can't do it. Everything is projected.
Any other comments, or do we want Rob to make his option?
I will, if there's no one else. Okay. So we're talking about just the TSIP money here, the $7.5 million. Our option would include for highly effective evaluations, those with highly effective evaluations, a $1,330 addition to their base salary. Yeah, Kev?
Highly effective performance.
Correct.
I didn't say that.
No, highly effective.
Annual contract.
Sorry. Thank you, annual contract each. When you said performance, I'm like,
Yeah, I got confused too.
he meant those on a performance salary schedule, okay.
Increase in their base salary?
Correct.
Okay.
And those effective or, I shouldn't say or, and on the grandfathered salary schedule. A $665 increase to the base salary. 665.
Okay.
It's okay. Then the next bullet would be a true up to the new starting salary of $48,000.
Okay. So we have, this is all option one, correct? All three parts of option one. correct?
Sure, yes.
Highly effective eval, 1330 increase in base salary, those are for annual contract employees. Effective and grandfathered salary schedule would get a 665 increase to base salary. And a true up to new starting salary of 48,000. Do we need to clear up anything? Does this,
Well, I just want that to be understood, that's the order of operations. Yeah,
this first,
yes.
but this is all one option?
Yeah, it's all one option, correct.
Okay. Does this include the people like Iris was talking about, effective and grandfather?
Yes.
Okay.
Iris was talking about non-instructional.
Right.
Yes, it includes, I knew what she meant, it includes non-instructional, yes.
Go ahead, put on my thing. Everybody's doing.
Because we have the minimum starting salary of $47,500. So we're given the flexibility of using the money for all instructional personnel.
Yeah, have you checked with legal on that? Because that's not the rate the statute agreement.
Well, last I looked, I was a lawyer, but that's okay. I can certainly check with legal.
I just don't want to agree to something that then we there again have to go back and revisit.
We certainly wouldn't head down that path. So we're fairly confident, yes, and we also emailed DOE.
DOE responded they were included.
They said essentially you could use the money for other than non-instructional, other than classroom, if you're at the 47.5. And the statute says that thereafter meaning once you've reached the 47.5.
So we have an option up here. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or want to call the test for that? We are at 6:30, okay? Okay. How long do you need? 5 minutes?
We're good, yeah, we don't need it.
Okay.
Call it.
Teachers.
Caucus report for us?
All right, thank you for patiently waiting. We discussed the opt-in. We answered a couple, or attempted to answer some TISA-related questions, but there was a lot of discussion around the option and potential ratifiability, I suppose.
Sorry, potentialized profit.
Ratifiability, if that's a word, it is tonight, if it's not.
I didn't even spell it.
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Anybody have any comments, questions? Anything?
Okay, go ahead. That's okay, I have my teacher voice.
I believe one of our concerns is that we're going to have a hard time putting our thumbs up for something when we don't have any idea what the future is going to bring. So I'm really concerned about that. We don't know, not only that, but being a teacher that would be on that 665 end, I feel like it's a slap in the face.
Okay, Rob?
Well, what's not gonna change is that we have $7.5 million of TISA funding from the state. So that's not changing. We're all ears if there's a proposal. I'm not trying to slap anybody in the face, I'm sorry if you feel that way. But we do have those statutory limitations as to how we can divvy up this money. So we're all ears if there's another option to deal with the $7.5 million. We're here to hear that.
You guys have some other options, Anna?
I think that in order for us to even create an option, we need to know numbers of how many teachers are out there with a highly effective status, how many teachers have an effective status, how many are grandfathered, how many are eligible for TISA. We need that information in order for us to even attempt to make a plan. And as far as I know, do we have that information?
We told you earlier there were 1,508 teachers on the grandfathered salary schedule.
Let's see, we have it up here, I believe. She didn't write it down.
It was 1508 grandfather.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
1508 grandfather.
But I don't think we're that thing.
No, we did. 2,100 highly effective.
Is that for grandfather?
Is that annual contract?
That is
Or
for
total?
everybody. That's because I've done this, that the highly effective grandfather, just say effective because of this, yes.
So 2,100 would be eligible for the higher amount.
So that's annual contract.
Yes.
Yeah. So are we assuming 3,608 are effective?
Or on the grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah.
3,261.
3,261
Effective teachers?
would be at essentially the $665 amount. Effective or grandfather.
3,261?
Correct.
And that includes the 1508 on the grandfather?
Yes.
And do we have the numbers for how many teachers are, as defined by state statute, eligible for TSA?
You mean under the definition before you reach 47.5, like classroom teachers? I'm sure we do, because we had to pay that in the past, but I'm not sure if it's readily available.
Do you know, while you're looking for that, do you know how many teachers would be eligible for a true-up?
3.
Oh, well, that was what, during career ladder.
No, sorry, that was with Career Ladder. I think I saw it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1,181.
And then what about, is career ladder gonna be separate from this?
Yes, we're not talking, Career Ladder's not part of our option.
Okay.
So that's not. Any comments? This is a matter. Career ladder.
Amy, I've got a question.
Sure. Hopefully it's not.
Sixth grade. I have a TISA law question. So as I'm reading one of the FAQ questions, it says that you can use TISA funds for performance increases so long as it's the folks who are eligible to receive TISA money. Another question refers to.
Which question, Kurt? What number?
Number 1.
Oh, okay.
10-1201 2A through D is the definition of instructional personnel. And so I'm looking in item D, and it includes other instructional staff. That's the piece that you're saying captures everybody else into that, into that being able to provide an increase using the TISA dollars.
So if you look at question 12, the last sentence. And that includes all of those definitions.
And because we're already at 47.5, we can.
Right.
It follows that we can then use the entire amount for everyone in the bargaining.
That's how we're interpreting it, yes.
I understand. Thank you.
Salary groups includes the rest of the positions?
Sorry.
Rest of the instructional? Rest of the bargaining unit. Thank you, that's what I need, yeah. Okay. Jill?
Can you explain the rationale behind the 3,261 teachers, that's the number of teachers that were rated effective, and on the salary schedule, only 50% of the 1330 when they're eligible for 75%, which would be $970.50?
I'm not following your question, Jill.
So the amount the first amount that was put up was 1330, correct? And that's for anyone on the performance-based salary schedule who was highly effective.
2,100 teachers, correct?
500 people, yeah. It's my understanding that the teachers on the grandfather salary schedule and effective teachers are eligible for 75% of that, which is $997.50. Yet we're only offering them 50% of that total amount. And I'm wondering the rationale behind only offering them 50%, not the whole 75%.
I understand what you're asking, but I'm not sure that's applicable to this option. Yeah, go ahead.
I think there might be a little bit of confusion. The 75% has to do with the base has to increase 75% of the, and it's in that statute, it says thereafter, the annual increase to the minimum base salary shall not be less than 75% of the largest adjustment for an employee on the grandfathered salary schedule. That's in statute.
She's referencing changes to performance pay rules. Performance pay says that for highly effective annual contract teachers, they have to make 175% of any adjustment negotiated for PSE teachers. Furthermore, annual contract effective teachers must receive between 50 and 75% of the amount negotiated for highly effective annual contract teachers. So I think what Jill is asking is that number that you put up, the 665, is 50% of 1330. We could go up as high as 75% of 1330, which would be 990 something, and still be within the confines of the statute.
But if we increase the effective, then we have to increase the base, and we were trying to keep it at the amount of the TISA.
So then, this is why I don't like doing math on the fly. It's very dangerous, especially for me. When I multiply the numbers that you all gave, and then I add about 20% for FICA, I only come up with 5.8 million. So I'm not.
Are you basing that on the 196 work schedule or all the other weird schedules we have, 226 and?
I'm simply multiplying the number of highly effective teachers by the 1330 and the effective and grandfathered by the 665 and seeing how close that comes to our 7.5 million.
Then you have the true up that has to occur as well. And I think there's actually 13.
There's 1,359 that need to be trued up. I gave you a figure of 1,181. We missed, well, we didn't miss. 1,359. Additional 178 people.
359?
1,000.
1,359 need to be trued up. The previous figure was 1,181.
And they would receive 1,300 people need to be trued up from 47.5 to 48?
Yes.
Because so many people are that.
That's how many people we've hired brand new, I mean, because it should only be people with zero experience, right? 0 to 2.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, 0 to 2.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure I captured what you were saying, Kelly. The 75% applied to the base salary, not to.
Then they went back to the performance piece, which I need to.
Right, that's what I thought, okay. And this TISA thing is for the base salary.
Well, the problem is all of it applies.
I know.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a total amount on how much of this it exhausts? Like, you guys have access to more information than I have, so when I'm doing my, third grade level math skills, when I graduated from kindergarten, I get a much lower number. So what's the number out of that 17 or 7.5 million? What is the total cost of this according to your calculations?
Right at 7.5.
Yeah, it's right at the number, just about. I'm trying to see if I have something that can help you.
So part of the problem is, and the same thing we were doing, like, some teachers are not 196, so if you apply this to just a 196 day,
It's going to give you hourly base.
so some.
I always turn it off.
So if you can't just apply it all to a 196, that'll just give you a basic number, but you have a lot of staff that are higher than a 196 day, and you have to take all that into consideration as you're working the numbers.
I found the statute I was just talking about, so I can get that to you. It's still in 10.12.22. It is under wage down. Under B, salary adjustments. It's Roman numeral 2. Annual salary adjustments for an employee rated as effective must be at least 50% and no more than 75% of the adjustment for highly effective of the same classification. And then number 1 talks about the 125% rule for highly effective annual contract teachers as it relates to ESG teachers.
Thank you.
Must be 75%, sorry, Kurt. Must be 75% of, okay, just put the, I put the section.
1222, what is the parents what?
B2.
B2, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, 5B2.
5B2, thank you. Okay. All right, Anna and then Bob, we are at 6:54.
I just wanted to say that I feel like this is very frustrating, that you guys have access to more information, more who's on 196, who's on, whatever's more than 196. And then for it just to be like so nonchalant of like, well, Cal wants to throw up an option. We don't have the information in a timely enough fashion to even come prepared with an option. This is the information that we could have had prior to this, knowing that we were coming in here to talk about it. I think that it would just be more beneficial of all of our time if that information was shared with us prior to something like this, so that way we could come prepared and not just, well, if Cal wants to throw up an option, they're welcome to. And we're over here doing basic math, but we don't have the information that you guys have to even come prepared for that.
Thank you. And then Bob is next.
Yeah, just a point of clarity, and I've been on the bargaining team for a while, and I don't know, I can't remember the times that basically we're going to be bargaining this, and then we're going to be revisiting it again when we find out what the board contribution is, correct? So basically, we're doing this without knowing what the board contribution is, and then once we find out what the board contribution is, then that's going to be adjusted again, correct? Am I right as far as the clarity of what the direction that we're going? So basically, we're doing two things. We're doing this, and then we're going to come back to it again when we find out what the board contribution is and readjust it again.
Potentially. I mean, there's other ways to bargain whatever the board contribution may be. I mean, we have to talk about supplements and other things. So potentially, yes. I mean, the base salary would change and how we would deal with that, yes. Potentially, yes.
So,
yeah.
So right now, when we're talking the starting salary of $48,000, that's going to change.
Not necessarily, no.
Well, once we get board contribution, I mean, just common sense logic, that 48 is going to change.
I don't know that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Bob. I potentially, yes. I mean, yeah.
Even if the board contribution is $1 million.
Because the statutes are the statutes, right? Is that what you're essentially saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would just want to respond to Hannah, what she said. I take no offense to what you said. However, as far as information, it's $7.5 million. How we split it up and what the statutes say, we're in the same situation you're in. So the numbers, as far as staff members, Kerr and Kevin know, I would gladly share that with them, how many people are on grandfathered, how many people are not. So that's all that is I mean, we talk to them every day. So if there's information you need to gather, let us know.
All All right, we are at 6:58. It looks like our next scheduled meeting is the 9th of January, and we do have one option up here. What would we like to do at this point? Do we test it or do we table?
That's fine.
Table it? All right. Shay?
So the information that Anna was talking about that we need, is it possible for us to have it, like prior to, is it possible for us to have that information prior to the break?
What information exactly?
I think she's talking about the data request that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, okay. So the data request I have up here?
Well, we have a larger data request
Okay.
outstanding.
Okay.
Okay, we're aware of it,
That
yes.
includes that information.
Okay.
And hopefully we can get it, yes, Elizabeth's working on it, hopefully we can get it to you before break, yes.
Okay. We are at, wait,
6:59.
6:59, thank you.
Have a great evening and a great holiday, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.